That's IT uploaded.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Timothy Go, and thanks for joining me on another episode of That's IT. Today, I'm going to take you all on board that plane. Because it's a special flight, and I'll tell you why once I get boarded. SQ-22 is my favorite Singapore Airlines flight because it holds the world record for the longest passenger flight at 18 hours. But it is also the fastest direct non-stop service from anywhere in Southeast Asia to New York City, which many of you would agree is the center of the universe. So it's gonna be a long flight after catching up on your reading, catching up on movies, eating one meal after the other, and catching up on sleep. What else can you do? What about checking Facebook and Twitter and the latest news? Now you can.
As a reminder, cellular telephones are not approved for use while in flight.
Singapore Airlines introduces the next step in in-flight connectivity with international Wi-Fi and GSM on selected routes on selected aircraft. And this is good news for frequent long-haul passengers who can now stay online while on cruising altitude. It will also help kill time when you can go online and update your Facebook status or tweet pic the food you're eating. Singapore Airlines invited That's IT to be one of the first to try out the new service, and gladly took up the challenge of an 18-hour flight to New York City and 18 hours back, giving me plenty of time to test out the service with all the devices I brought along with me. Getting connected is easy. Switch on your Wi-Fi, look for on-air service, sign up, pay up, and off you go. So I tried it first on the BlackBerry. As much as we don't want to be bothered by work-related email while flying, being able to reply to those that need answers will save you time. The emails came flooding in as soon as the Wi-Fi was enabled, and I started responding, making sure I point out I'm 38,000 feet above ground while sending emails, just to make sure the bosses know I'm working up here. Things weren't looking too bright on the Lumia 900, though. While the Wi-Fi signal was strong, I didn't get through to Channel News Asia's app. But the New York Times app was responding just fine. On the HTC One XL, which runs on Android, search results came out really fast, but loading them took a while. On the iPhone's iOS, everything works just like it would on the ground. Tweets are up in an instant, and uploading pictures was a flash. What's good about the Wi-Fi service here is that after your initial setup, all you have to do next is assign yourself a login name and password that you can use on all your devices simultaneously. So on the laptop, things were fantastic. TweetDeck, with all its updates from all my Twitter accounts, loaded like clockwork. On Facebook, chatting with your buddies was an ease. And if you can read closely here, I'm telling my friend that I'm getting excited on board, like a tech geek that I am. It took some time for pictures to completely load, and just for the fun of it, I also tried loading a video, just to test the speed. And of course, all these don't come for free. The Wi-Fi service isn't cheap either. 26 megabytes of data transfer will cost you $29.95 US, and 10 megabytes priced at $11.95 US. Also new to Singapore Airlines and to the airline industry is GSM on board. You can now use your mobile phone as soon as the plane takes off, and it works exactly as it would if your phone is set to roaming on a foreign land. At this point, though, voice calls are not supported on board Singapore Airlines. Here is one caveat. The Wi-Fi and GSM services won't work in many places. Only territories in green on this map support Wi-Fi on air for now. So now we know everything works, but wouldn't you want to know about safety and security and how your mobile devices may or may not interfere with navigational tools? We'll ask the experts. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, recently said it will finally look into current regulations governing the use of electronics in flight.
All portable electronic devices need to be turned off and stowed for takeoff and landing.
These laws have not been updated since 2006, and the technology in our mobile devices now have improved a lot. And that is perhaps why it may now be safe to turn on your radio transmitting devices 30,000 feet in the sky.
All those systems have been rigorously tested Okay, and even if the handheld devices do emit frequencies, part of the overall design and certification is such that we have to avoid or to make sure that all the onboard equipment are not sensitive to any of those frequencies.
Don't worry, most of our mobile phones, tablets, and laptops can remain on and log in during the flight.
These are certified by the FAA and other agencies, so I wouldn't say there are any safety issues in this regard, because you would still be able to use them without actually getting into any of the interference, anything that might interfere with the safe navigation of an aircraft.
However, our devices will have to remain switched off during the crucial takeoff and touchdown sequence of the flight. That's the time when pilots and their navigational equipment cannot afford to make errors. So, what has On Air done to reconfigure the modern aircraft for it to be able to receive and send out data?
What we have is that inside the aircraft, we have a series of access points of hotspots like you have on the ground in an internet cafe or a bar or a pub. So basically, the people with their own devices will connect to that network, okay? And then from there on, once they're connected, then a secure link is established between the device and the access points, and then an antenna which is installed on top of the aircraft, which then communicates with a satellite network in space, and which then routes the signals to the ground and then back to the aircraft the same way.
So how important is it for passengers up in the air to be connected on the ground all the time? We ask you that question, and here's what you have to say. We ask you guys on Facebook if you'd rather watch a free in-flight movie or use the internet on board. And a majority of you guys said you will use the internet only if it's free. Fair enough. And Singapore Airlines did hear your concerns and promised that it will continuously look at pricing options for the rest of us normal travelers.
Well, we don't want everyone to move away from the movies. We still wanted to watch them, so the feed them good. But I think we've heard that feedback. We did some consumer research before we launched this product, and we analyzed the price points which would make it attractive for customers. And we saw what the others were doing, who already had similar products out there in the market. And I think for now we're fairly comfortable with where the product is, but we're not close to reviewing those plans as time goes by. We'll see how the take-up is.
Meanwhile, some aviation experts think you holiday travelers are not the real target of the service anyway.
I think it's primarily to cater to the business passengers on its aircraft. A lot of its passengers, it makes a lot of its money from these people who fill up the front end of the cabin and also the back end, but are business travelers. They need to stay in touch. They need to be in touch via email, by the internet, whether it's on Twitter and so on. So this is important for Singapore Airlines. It helps them keep up with the other airlines who've introduced a similar service and cater to the changing needs of their passengers.
Now here's what I personally think. The not-so-cheap prices also means I'll have to think twice before I use it. After all, updating Facebook and tweeting can wait. What I like is the option and the peace of mind that I can, when I choose to, log in and contact anyone, even when I'm flying, because no one should have to put their digital life on hold just because they're inside a flying machine. The other thing I like about it is, for the purpose of this That's IT feature, I get to be online for most of this 18-hour flight for free. Well, that's all I've got time for this week on That's IT. It's my turn to really surf, check in on Facebook, and tweet about this flight. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget you can tweet me or follow us on Facebook. I'm Timothy Go. That's it.